Yes. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let's begin the Q&A. And inshallah, Ayat is going to read them out loud. And if you have more questions, send them here, inshallah. He would read them, and I'll.
It'll be only 20 minutes, inshallah.
Only 20 minutes we have. Okay. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enable me to speak the truth. Bismillah ar-Rahman
ar-Rahim. Okay, so the first question is relating to Salat al-Jum'ah. So in Shi'ism, it is considered optional wajib. In Quran and Hadith of Imam and Prophets, it is wajib. When do we use the opinion of jurists over Quran?
We do not use the opinion of the fuqaha and jurists over the Quran. Most of the fuqaha, they say today, if the conditions are met, then you must go to the Friday prayers. Most of them. It's almost wajib, almost mandatory nowadays. If you have a place of worship, and if you have the imam, and if you have at least 5 people there, then it becomes wajib, inshallah. Yeah. Next.
Okay, I'm just putting it randomly. So you said yesterday that the Prophet Musa lacked patience. Was he one of the infallible people? And what are the qualities of infallibility, and who are the infallibles?
I didn't say he lacked. He was learning. He asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show him some of his mysterious signs, but he could not show up enough patience. Not that he lacked completely. No, he could not show enough patience. He wanted immediate answers. But he's infallible. That would not hurt his leadership. It would not hurt his leadership. But same thing with Adam alayhi salam. God says about Adam, وَعَصَى آدَمُ رَبَّهُ فَغَوَى. Adam disobeyed his Lord. But he disobeyed his Lord not in the halal and haram. Not that he committed something haram. No. God said to him, do not approach the tree. Do not approach the tree. He advised him. He advised him not to approach the tree, but he couldn't. He did approach. So he did not commit something haram, but also he committed some sort of disobedience that he's not supposed to do. He's not supposed to do. Yeah.
So I heard someone discussing the topic of 786 Cosmetics and other companies, halal nail polish, etc. But I also heard mixed opinions about these items. Are they really halal?
786? I have no idea about what 786.
Cosmetics.
Specific cosmetics?
Their brand cosmetics and other companies like nail polish.
If this nail polish does not prevent, is not waterproof, does not prevent the water from reaching the nail, then they may use it, but not in public. In public, this is considered beauty and attraction. They should not display it in public. They can do it at home with their mahrams, but not in public. Okay. If that nail polish is not waterproof.
Okay. Also, today, I know you were discussing about, how people just memorize Quran and don't focus on, and not many focus on the meaning. So, but in the Muslim communities, we focus a lot on memorizing. Let's memorize the Quran. Let's memorize a lot of surahs. Why do you think we focus a lot on memorizing and not understanding? Why do we emphasize?
It's a mistake. It's a mistake. Tradition that they learn it from others. They think that just by memorizing it, they're going to be guided. Memorizing the Quran is not enough. Memorizing it with understanding, because Quran itself says, we sent this book لِيَتَدَبَّرُوا. They reflect. They meditate, they read, they understand, they learn. So, and memorization without, it's like we memorize a poetry, English poetry, French poetry, but we don't understand the meaning of it. What's the point? Wasting your time. What is more important than memorization is the understanding of the Quran. Imam al-Sadiq says there are some people who memorize the Quran, but it does not get into their heart. Only with their mouth, only with their tongue. They don't benefit from the guidance, the light of the Quran. They don't. Wasting their time.
What happened to Sayyidina Zainab alayhi salam after she arrived in Medina? Like, we never heard anything about her after the Karbala event.
There are three different stories in the history. One story says she stayed in Medina until she died in Medina and she's buried in Baqi'. The second story says her husband, Abdullah ibn Ja'far, had some property in Sham. He owned some land, some property. So she went with him in one of the trips to Sham, year 65 Hijri, which is 4 years after Ashura. Ashura is 61 Hijri, so she went 65 and she fell sick in Sham and she died there. The third story says she went to Egypt. She went to Egypt and she died there. The people of Egypt received her with respect and honor, and she died there, and she has a mausoleum and a shrine, Sayyidah Zainab shrine in Egypt. So there are three stories.
Is there a one that most people follow?
Allahul Alim. Allah knows the best.
Oh, okay. So it is wajib for us as Muslims to enjoin good and forbid evil, like Amr bin Ma'ruf and Nahy an al-Munkar, with non-Muslims. To what extent should we practice this if it is wajib?
If we know that our Amr bil Ma'ruf, enjoining good and forbidding evil, is effective, then we do it. You don't go to downtown Greenville to a nightclub and tell them, oh, people, listen to me. Dancing is haram, drinking is haram. Nobody is going to listen to you. They are going to make fun of you and kick you out and maybe, call the cops. So nobody is. So that place, this is an example I am giving. When you know people are not going to listen at all, don't waste your time. When there is a possibility of listening, okay, understanding you, listening to you, being effective, then you may do that. You may do it in a good manner, not in any manner. Each society has certain approach. When you preach in Iraq, is different from preaching in France, is different from preaching in Greenville, South Carolina. Each society has its own norm, its own culture, its own customs, its own etiquettes. So you have to know how to speak to people. The language you use, the approach that you use, the parables that you use to be effective. So you have to know these things. These are the manners of a preaching, adabul kalam, the manners of preaching. You have to know these in order for you to be effective, and you can bring about a change in the society.
So know your audience. Yeah. Okay. So isn't it better to pray dhuhr than wait, and only then to go for asr prayer? If I understand this, like, is it better to pray dhuhr and then pray asr right away, or should we, or is it better to wait in between?
Many of other scholars, such as Ayatollah al-Khoi, believes that once you pray the dhuhr, the time of asr arrives. So it's better to do the asr immediately after dhuhr. Some scholars, they say, if you are staying at home, you are not busy, you are not going to school, you are not going to your office, you are doing nothing, you are at home, then you may do the dhuhr and then wait 2 hours later after the time of asr and then do the asr. Yeah.
Did Zainab alayhi salam know that the crisis of Karbala was going to happen?
Imam Hussein explained to her before they left Medina. He explained to all Bani Hashim, not just Lady Zainab, to his entire clan of Bani Hashim, that I'm going to go to Karbala. I'm going to be martyred in Karbala. Whoever is going to join me is going to be victorious. Whoever declines is not going to be victorious. So he explained to her, and he took her on purpose. And she was fully aware of the consequences, what will happen. And she was fully aware about her role after Imam Hussein. You need a microscope.
Yeah, I know.
I was going to tell that, Michael. You need to say.
So many good questions. Okay, this is a short one.
Jazakallah. Jazakallah.
Okay, is qada prayer valid? In other words, is there such thing as a qada prayer?
Of course, absolutely. If you miss a prayers, even if you missed it 30 years ago, you have to make it up. The prayers, the fasting, the hajj, the zakat, all these things, you have to make it up. Whenever you are able, you have to make it up. Yeah, yeah. And if someone cannot makes that up during his lifetime, whether it's fasting or hajj or prayers, then he has to write in his will that, for instance, I missed 1 year, 2 years, 5 years of prayers, of fasting, I didn't do hajj. Then after his death, his family have to do that on his behalf. Even if they hire someone, they can hire someone to do the prayers and the fasting and the hajj for that person.
How is that acceptable to pay?
It is acceptable because he couldn't do it, and nobody is willing to volunteer.
But I mean, no, if like the family didn't want to do it and they paid someone else to do it, is that still okay?
Yeah, from his own money, they can hire someone to do the prayers and the fasting and the hajj on his behalf. Okay. Yes.
So how do we talk to the opposite gender in a halal way when we want to get married?
There are many ways. If you are serious, if people are serious in searching for a spouse, they don't want to waste people's time, they don't want to mess up or take advantage of others, they are really serious about getting married, establishing a family, then there are many ways, honorable ways, respected ways, safe ways, halal ways of doing it. I think they can talk if they are serious, they can approach each other, but first they have to make sure that the families are also okay, their parents are also okay. And they can meet in each other's homes, with their parents present, with their families present. They can speak on the phone. They can also, if the purpose of really marriage, they are serious, they can meet outside with someone being present. Someone, a member of the family, being present with them. So these are the safe ways of doing it. And definitely must spend some time getting to know each other. Definitely. This is very necessary. Very necessary. They should not rush into this. They should learn about each other. They should spend as much time as possible to get to know each other, to discover each other, to experience each other. And sometimes 2, 3, 5, 10 meetings are not enough to get to know people. So they have to spend time, sometimes 3 months, 6 months, 1 year before they commit themselves. There is a way also of making it halal. They can do temporary marriage, but without getting involved in any physical or sexual activity. They don't touch each other, for the purpose of just going out together, talking together. So they don't commit haram. But they have to say no touching, no physical activity, no sexual activity. This is another way. Many people, they do it. And they have to honor this promise. They have to honor it. So they do a act for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, until they trust each other, they know each other, then they can convert that into the temporary marriage. But with the approval of their parents, of course.
Of course, yeah.
So a lady cannot do that by herself without the knowledge of her family. They have to approve.
Recently, I have been hearing a lot of discussion about the way certain scholars have been responding to controversial topics, and sometimes it becomes difficult to determine what's true or false. How can we distinguish the truth and who we should be listening to, like trusting?
I mentioned earlier tonight that we have to use our aql, our brain, our reason. God has given us aql. And the more we are educated, the more we learn, the more we are able to distinguish between truth and falsehood. One of the results of learning, when you learn about Islam, when you spend your time reading, discussing, listening, debating about Islam, then you're going to know religion better. Then nobody can come and fool you or deceive you. Okay? So when someone speaks something, you know he's telling you the truth. When someone is misleading you, you know he's misleading you. The more knowledge you have, the more ability you develop to distinguish between haqq and batil, between a truth and falsehood, between a true statement and a lie. The more ability you have to. And those people who do not study, they just go and listen to majalis. That's it. Only majalis. They don't read books. They don't discuss. They don't go to school. They don't have the ability to distinguish. Anyone can come and deceive them. Anyone. Today, the problem of the Muslims, all Muslims, Shias and Sunnis, they go to the Friday prayers. The only source of education and knowledge for them is only the Friday prayers. They know nothing about Islam. Only what the khatib, the speaker, tells them during the Friday prayers. And he could be lying to them. He could be distorting the truth. But how do they know? They don't know. Because they don't read. They don't go and read the books. They don't check them out. They don't spend time studying. This is why many people, they are misled. Many Muslims nowadays, they are misled.
We should do our own research.
Because of course, because they don't read. They don't read their own books. Our dear Sunni brothers and sisters, I respect them, but I have to tell the truth. They don't read their books. They don't read their books. The only source of knowledge for them is Friday prayers. That's it, period. And maybe the Imam is lying to them. How do they know that he's not lying? Because they don't read. And they spend their time, their life, their entire life in ignorance. Otherwise, if they go and check out the books, there are books in the libraries, and they read them, they understand. And believe me, most of those who embrace the school of Ahlul Bayt, they did so because they read. Once they read, they discovered the truth. They realized, oh, this is the path. This is the way. For 40 years, I was following another ways. Now that I read these books, I asked an imam, Egyptian imam. He's here in New York City. For 40 years, he was anti-Ahlul Bayt, anti-Shia Islam. I said to him, how did you become Shia? He said, I went to Mecca to Hajj, and I was sitting in front of God's house, Kaaba. I said, oh God, please, if I am following the right path, keep me steadfast on that path. If I am following the wrong path, save me, guide me, show me the path. He said, even before I finished my dua, someone from behind, he was sitting behind me, exactly behind me. He put his hand on my shoulder. He said, Sheikh, where are you from? I said, I was angry. I said to him, I'm from Egypt. What do you want from me? Leave me alone. I'm talking to God. He's an angry man. He's my friend. He's very angry. So he said, I asked him, where are you from? The guy told me, I'm from Iran. He said, oh, you are Shia? The guy told him, yes, I'm. He said, you are the one who hit yourself and say Hussein, Hussein, and worship Ali. You have a different Quran. You believe that the Prophet is Ali, not Muhammad. He started, The man said to me, listen. I'm not alim. I'm not scholar. I'm engineer. If you want to debate, we have scholars here. Come with me. So this Egyptian sheikh, I said to him, yeah, let's go to your scholar. Let's see what your scholars say. So he says, we took a taxi from Masjid al-Haram to a building. We went inside the building. We went up to the 10th floor. He opened the room. There are scholars sitting there. He sent me there. He just pushed me inside the room and he said, Khuda Hafiz. Wow. He says, this was morning, 10 a.m. in the morning. He said, I sat there and I was debating with those scholars until evening. He said, I did not eat any food. There was lunchtime, I refused to eat. After lunch, in the evening, there was dinner. I said, I don't want food, only discussion. The only break we took for the namaz, for the prayers. Only. He said, I did not eat food. I was asking bombardment of questions, one after the other. They show me the book. They tell me, see, the answer is in your books. This is Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Tirmidhi, Nisa'i, Ibn Majah, Abu Dawood, Tafsir al-Tabari, Tafsir al-Fakhr al-Razi. They give me the answers from our books. I said to them, please, 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 give me some of these books. They said, no, we can't. We can't. We brought this with the diplomatic load. We cannot bring this into Saudi Arabia. Mamnu. So we had to bring it through our embassy. He said, please give them to me only 2 days. I'm returning back these books to you. He said, I took the books. He's telling me this story. This is his personal story. I took the book to my apartment. He said, I didn't go to Masjid al-Haram. I spent 48 hours reading these books, checking them out. Until 2 days. After 2 days, I took the book back to them. I realized that today I am a Shia Muslim. I am the follower of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Through reading.
I can drop
So when they read, they discover the truth is there. But you need someone to come, open his eyes and his mind and his heart and read it and find it. Puts racism and ta'assub and a prejudice and bias aside, put it aside, opens his heart. When he opens the heart, he can find. Same thing we have with some people who accepted Islam. Catholics, Christians, Jews, others, Hindus, they became Muslims. They read through discovery, through discussion, through research, through reading, they find the truth.
This will be our final,
Last,
final question.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So, yeah. So, what would be the best way to complete certain Islamic practices easily done in Muslim countries, in a non-Muslim country, or even leave incomplete a certain practice in such a way that it would still be respectful to our elders and also those who still live in Muslim countries?
That again. Who didn't understand the question? Say it again.
What would be the best way to complete certain Islamic practices easily done in Muslim countries in a non-Muslim country, or even leave incomplete a certain practice in a way that it would still be respectful to our elders or those who live in Muslim countries?
Okay. I think I got the meaning. My friends, there are certain things in Islam, certain practices are mandatory. Whether you live in India or Pakistan or Europe or the moon or Jupiter, you have to practice them. These are foundations of Islam. Prayers. Wherever you go, prayers, there is no exception. Wherever you go, 5 daily prayers. Fasting, Hajj, if you can financially afford. Zakat, if you can financially afford. These things are mandatory. There are other things are not mandatory, mustahab. They would strengthen. It's like the supplements you eat with the food. Some people, they have in the morning certain bottles of supplements. They have their breakfast and then they add to that breakfast the supplements, vitamins. Okay? These are supplements. They do not replace the food. Nobody can survive only on supplements. You have to eat your food, and then beside the food, you have these supplements to strengthen your immune system. These supplements in Islam, like the azan, like these lectures are not mandatory. It's not mandatory. But it is a supplement. It will increase your immunity. It will boost your strength. You need them. They are not wajib, not mandatory, but they are almost wajib. Almost wajib. Okay? These things, you don't have to do them every single day in every country, in every culture. You don't have to do the same form of azadari wherever you go. The love of Imam Hussein is in your heart. Some people, they love Imam Hussein more than I do, but they don't cry. They don't know how to cry. They were Sunnis, they became Shia. They were not raised in Shia societies, in Shia circles, but they do love Ahlul Bayt. They do love Imam Hussein. But they don't cry. But for me, I was raised in Karbala. The moment you say, Ya Aba Abdullah, I start to cry. Maybe I was in my mother's tummy, I would hear the name Hussein, I would cry. Different cultures, different customs, okay? So here, we carry the message of Imam Hussein. I come from Iraq. Your father comes from Syria, your mother from Morocco, this mu'min from India, this mu'min from Pakistan, this mu'min from Iran, this one from Afghanistan, United Arab Emirates, other countries. And we all love Imam Hussein. But sometimes we should modify what we do. Modify. For instance, in Iran and Iraq, they do Amazani. They do Tatbir. Maybe this one here in this country does not work. Maybe it works in our country. People are used to it. They express their love to Imam Hussein through, this bloodletting. But here in America, if you do this in public, the police, they're going to call the police. Police is going to say, well, what are you doing here? You are endangering your life. Huh? In public? In public? Where? In public? They're heard?
On the road.
But do you think it's
not good enough? Still, it doesn't give a good message.
But do you think this is the message of Imam Hussein?
That's my question, because the thing is, recently it's going on, different marja giving their different explanation, yes or no, and people are, arguing on this.
May Allah bless you, inshallah. Thank you. May Allah bless you. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Jazakallah. God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Mu'mineen, if you ask me, I am the slave of Imam Hussein and his servant. In this country, we have a different message. We are minority, small minority. Muslims are a minority, and we, the Shias, are the minority within the minority. We have to deliver the message of Imam Hussein in a civilized way, in a rational way, in a reasonable way, in an intellectual way. I cannot convince the American people that Imam Hussein is right and Yazid is wrong when I hit myself with a sword. They don't get it. Why do you hit yourself? I always say, go for a blood drive. If you want to give your blood, save a life. Save someone who's dying in the hospital. They need the blood. Save a life. Rather than shedding your blood in the street. Shedding your blood in the street is not going to help the cause of Imam Hussein. But when you have a blood drive and you save someone who's dying in the hospital, this is the cause of Imam Hussein. The message of Imam Hussein, saving lives, saving people, saving people's dignity. This is what I believe, in my humble opinion.
That answers the question, because different places, like you said, have a different way of doing it. In India, I've done it in the past, but when I was in Dubai, it's not allowed. Like you said, we cannot do it.
Exactly.
But now, if I'm in the US and if I have 10 people who are non-Muslims, I cannot give them this message.
Absolutely. They would be scared. They would be scared, believe me. If you do this to them, he says, look at him, he's very violent. Maybe one day he will turn against me and he will hit me. They're going to be afraid of you. You have to show the peace of Imam Hussein, the love of Imam Hussein, the affection of Imam Hussein, the mercy of Imam Hussein. The language of blood does not work here. Maybe it works in our countries. People are, used to it. People know but here people misunderstand you and they're going to misjudge you. Thank you, Mu'mineen, for being patient and coming this. Yes.
Can you prefer in English best tafsir in your opinion?
There are two books which, in my humble opinion, in English are the best. One is Agha Puya's translation of the Quran and tafsir.
With tafsir, right?
With tafsir, definitely. The second is modern and contemporary, that came out 7 or 8 years ago by Professor Hussein Nasr. Hussein Nasr is from Iran. He's a Sufi scholar, Shia Sufi scholar. He teaches at George Washington University. The name of the book called The Study Quran. The Study Quran. You can get it from Amazon for $30. The Study Quran. It has Shia and Sunni opinion. So when he comes to this verse, he says the Sunnis, they say such and such. The Shias, they say such and such. Yes, the Study Quran. The Study Quran. This is, in my opinion, the language is powerful, the English translation is good, and the tafsir, the interpretation is very good. May Allah bless you, inshallah. Mu'mineen, inshallah, you are always on the path of Ahlul Bayt and Imam Hussein. Thank you to all sisters, to all the brothers, to all the young ones, inshallah. We see those leaders in America, inshallah. And those who are in the ziyarah of Arba'in, they come back, inshallah, safe and sound, with dua, inshallah. Allah accept their du'as, with fulfilling all the needs. And I hope I would be able to see you in the future, inshallah. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.
Thank you so much.